First, things were normal, even a little awkward, which I expected. Jason was a rude, but he was distant. I figured time would help. I did my best. Made his favorite meals, helped him with school projects, attended parent-teacher meetings. But no matter how much I tried, there was always this invisible wall between us. Years passed, and Jason slowly became more independent. He turned into a quiet, thoughtful teenager. And to be honest, he was a good kid. He rarely caused trouble, got good grades, and spent most of his time either studying or listening to music in his room. But I still felt like a stranger to him. Mark worked a lot, sometimes late into the evenings, and often traveled for his job. That meant Jason and I share the house quite a bit, just the two of us. Though it was never uncomfortable, there was a subtle sense of tension I couldn't explain. Maybe it was teenage hormones. Maybe it was just the awkwardness of living with a parent figure who wasn't biological. Either way, I tried to keep our interactions respectful and simple. One Friday evening, Mark had left for a business trip that would keep him away for the entire weekend. I was working from home and had spent most of the day in the upstairs office. Jason was home from college for the summer and mostly kept to himself. Around 7:00 p.m., I decided to take a shower. I'd been feeling sore from the week and thought a long, warm shower would do me some good. I headed to the master bathroom connected to our bedroom, not thinking to lock the bedroom door. I rarely did when I was home alone, or thought I was. It felt like second nature after all these years. I started undressing, letting the week's stress slip away with each layer I removed.
Ow.
I tossed my shirt onto the bed and stepped out of my jeans. Just as I reached for the towel to wrap around myself, I heard the door crack open. Jason stepped in. Everything stopped for a moment. He stood frozen in the doorway, eyes wide, face pale, his mouth opened as if to speak, but no words came out. I reacted on instinct. I grabbed the towel and clutched it tightly around me. "Jason!" I shouted, my voice trembling. "What are you doing? Didn't you knock?" His face turned a deep shade of red, and he immediately turned around. I'm sorry. I didn't know you were in here. I thought Dad was home." He didn't finish the sentence. He bolted out the door, slamming. It shut behind him. I stood there, heart pounding, trying to process what had just happened. I wasn't angry, just shocked. I quickly finished getting dressed and sat on the edge of the bed, unsure of what to do next. After a few minutes, I walked out and knocked on Jason's door. There was silence. I hesitated, then gently spoke through the door. "Jason, can we talk?" More silence, I sighed. "Look, I know it was an accident, but we need to clear the air." After a pause, I heard footsteps, and the door slowly opened. Jason looked like he wanted to disappear. "I didn't mean to, really. I swear I thought you were out. I just needed to grab my charger." "I know," I said softly. "It's okay. It was just a misunderstanding. But please, from now on, knock. Always knock." He nodded, looking down at the floor. "I'm really sorry. It's all right," I said again. "Let's just forget it happened." We left it at that. The rest of the evening passed quietly. We avoided eye contact and spoke only when necessary. The awkwardness hung heavy in the air. The next day, I tried to pretend everything was normal. I made breakfast and called out to Jason. He came down eventually, I still avoiding mine, but he managed a soft thanks. When I handed him a plate, later that afternoon, I was reading on the couch when he walked into the living room. He stood there for a moment as if unsure whether to speak. "Rachel," he began, voice low. "Can I ask you something?" I set my book aside and looked up. "Of course." He hesitated, then said, "Why did you marry my dad?" The question caught me off guard. "What do you mean?" He sat down across from me, still not quite looking me in the eyes. "I mean, you're young. You could have had someone closer to your age, someone without a kid." Why him? I thought about it for a moment before answering. Because I loved him. Because he made me feel safe. Because I believed in building something together, even if it wasn't perfect. Jason nodded slowly, as if taking that in. He finally looked at me. "Do you ever regret it?" I gave a soft smile. "Some days are hard, but I've never regretted loving him or trying to be part of this family." He nodded again, eyes finally meeting mine. something shifted in that moment. Tension, the awkwardness, it softened, even if just a little. After that day, things between us began to change. Not dramatically, but gradually. Talked more, lingered longer in conversations, laughed at my jokes, even helped with dinner once in a while. It was like a door had opened that had been shut. For years, we never talked about the moment in the bedroom again, and honestly, we didn't need to. It became a strange turning point, a moment of discomfort that led to an unexpected connection. By the time Mark returned from his trip, Jason and I had found a new rhythm. Nothing inappropriate ever happened, nothing ever crossed a line, but we had finally found a way to exist in the same space without feeling like strangers. It took years, but I came to realize the relationships, especially complicated ones like ours, aren't built in grand gestures. Sometimes they're shaped by awkward accidents, honest conversations, and the quiet understanding that we're all just trying to do our best. Jason eventually went back to college. Still calls occasionally, and we talk more now than we ever did. Sometimes I wonder if that bizarre, uncomfortable day somehow brought us closer. If in that one moment of embarrassment we found something real. And though I'll always remember the shock of that moment when he walked in, I'll remember even more what came after. A bridge finally built between a stepmother and a son.